we'll have to keep an eye on that 7, and we'll have to keep an eye on the 27 in row 3. Travis Beckner going to roll off 5th. Now he's gotten, I mentioned it, 3 top 10s and 4 last in points amongst the playoff drivers. Needs to win to get in, but it's been done before this week. Skyley in Cup, and then Garrett Conrad the Tuesday night in the truck. So keep an eye on him. And Michael Venable in the 77. Going to roll off in the 3rd row, along with Jonathan Evans and Braxton DeWeese in row 4 behind them. And in the 5th row, Justin Sogak will roll off 9th, and Greg Mitchell 10th.
All right, I think I am finally back, Hunter. What happened? I went to get my laptop so I could do the ad reads, and I accidentally pulled my headset out, and it screwed up everything here. But we'll run through this. We got Zach Nichols in 11th, Philip Groner in 12th, 13th, and 14th. We will find Jeremy Miller, Brad Slaughter, 13th, 14th. Then we'll have Weishart and Bolton, 17th and 18th. Jeff Wright and Garrett Grant, Justin Oppinger and John Furness, 19th and 20th. And then just to round out our grid here today, Pierce and Day, 21st and 22nd. Senesac and Servideo, 23rd, 24th, and we'll just get through because I think we're only going to have one pace lap. We'll let them all flow through. There's Lakatos, Van Drugman, haven't seen that name, Forrest Smith, Sebastian Marin all the way to the back, and then we have Matt Kemp and then Liam Sheen going to be shotgun on the field here. It looks like we'll get one pace lap for our 100 lap race, 200 miles around the Auto Club Speedway.
Yeah, so similar to Tuesday, we only get one pace lap. I think Monday we had an extra one, but nonetheless, it's going to be a fun race. We're going to cut the field from 8 to 4 for the playoff drivers after this one's said and done. Jake Nichols looking to be amongst those 4. Nate Stewart trying to add his name to that as well. They'll be on the front row. The pace car makes a hard left onto pit road, and we're slated for 100 laps from Auto Club Speedway. Green flag going to be waving, and we're underway from Fontana.
Here we come off of the jump here under the Barney's green flag waving, and they're already 2 by 2 for a good portion of our race grid here. Entering turn number 1 is Jake Nichols, Nate Stewart to the outside, Travis Beckner. Again, he has all of that pressure built up to win today's race, but he'll start off from the 3rd spot, and let's go down the back straightaway, and I bet we'll be fanning out wide here through 3 and 4.
Flirt a little bit towards the back, but Travis Beckner wasting no time whatsoever trying to get his way up to the front, looking to take 2nd from Nate Stewart just like that, and they're not venturing too high just yet, still focused on the bottom 2 grooves of the track, but Jake Nichols will come through, lead lap number 1, and the 7 of Skyly looking to the inside of Jonathan Evans for 4th, and for the lead, Beckner going deep into 1.
Here comes Travis Beckner with the diver all the way down to the bottom of the racetrack, and he will clear, or will he? Let's find out here. Coming off of the corner, he will clear. Huge push there, probably not intentionally, but didn't have a choice by Jake Nichols. Nate Stewart down to the inside, and not much of an opportunity for Stewart to do anything because Beckner will get right down to that bottom, and everyone seeming to be right on the bottom. And I imagine as the tires wear, we'll start seeing those grooves change around, move up the racetrack.
Absolutely, and these two couldn't have scripted it any better, at least for the beginning portion of this event. 2 guys below the cut line needing to have solid nights to get in, especially Beckner. Again, winning, you're in for all these guys, but Beckner, his only way to advance is to win. Nate Stewart, he can point his way in, but if Beckner wins, then Stewart won't advance to the championship 4, and down the back, Stewart's got a strong run. He'll take it to the outside of Beckner heading into 3rd.
Here he comes down that back straight. We get door to door, and Nate Stewart really pinching him down quite aggressively here, all the way down, and trying to figure out where the lines are going to be, where the momentum's going to be. No slipstream all the way to the back of the no slipstream to be spoken of here. Everyone is too far back. Look a little bit further back, you can see the 88 Anna Sogak. He's to the outside of Jeremy Miller. Jeremy Miller had a very up and down day on Tuesday, but recovered from it quite nicely. There is Zach Nichols, who most likely is going to have to win this race. He is back there in 11th, but again, don't expect him to stay there. Someone who could certainly drive his way through the field.
Looking at him going into turn 3, he's got Jeff Wright, another playoff driver right behind him, and they are touching a lot going through 3. Very close for comfort there if you're the 48 or the 44. And especially behind him as we're looking 3 wide. We're touching on the straightaway. David Weishart's going around. Justin Bolin as well. The caution's going to come out on lap 4.
We literally caught that one as it was going in turn 4. Our standard trouble spot as it has been. Let's go check out our Hendry County Motorsports Park replay. And we already saw it live, but we'll get a more in-depth look at it here. Watch that 48, watch that 29 of David Weishart down to the inside. Opplinger, I think he just got a little bit optimistic there. Or dare I say a lot of bit optimistic there, and ultimately it just, as I like to say, coagulated everybody else up behind.
One of our playoff drivers caught right in the middle of that. Going to take an onboard look presented by Hendry County Motorsports Park. And
from that angle, it looked like the gap was there, but we'll obviously see what admin judges it as. But well, either way, unfortunate break for those drivers, and you just have to feel for David Weishart. Remember, he's had no luck at all, really, the back half of the season. Did have some speed on Tuesday night, but the final result didn't show that. But thus far, not having the best of luck. But what we did see Tuesday, Hunter, we saw that these pit crews here have been doing a mighty job this week at repairing vehicles. So not to write anybody off yet who got into an incident.
Yeah, should continue for the Pro Series. I'm not sure if it will or won't, but kind of interested in seeing if we're going to get some takers here. I know tire wear is very important for this track again in its lifetime or lifespan. There was never a reconfiguration, so the pavement they're racing on now is the pavement they were racing on since 1998, and some guys being duped, possibly. The front runners at least going to stay out for now. I would assume if you're back behind the top 15 or so, Sebastian Marin might as well come in and pit. He's already locked into the next round. He's going to come in with a hefty full of drivers, including Casey Lacoste in the 50.
And Sebastian Marin, Zach Nichols again, only 4 sets of tires, which sounds like a lot until you see how much wear there is. And it does appear as such that most of these drivers in the pits are just topping off, which makes sense. If you watch Tuesday night, Garrett Conrath literally ran out at the line, had to have his teammates push him back around. So you don't know when that last caution's going to fall. We saw the fuel end up stretching maximum 43 laps on Tuesday night in the Truck Series race. We weren't privy to anything here today. I don't know if you did, but I would have to garner that it's probably around that same figure.
Indeed, as the top 16, they have stayed out, so no additional fuel from Nico Silverio up to the leader, Nate Stewart. Daniel Day on back, they all came down, and there were a couple that took tires. I think Matt Kemp, Zach Nichols, Alan Fox did. We also, at the start, the 92 of Liam Sheen pulled off, not sure why, being listed as a start in park, and the caution's been ruled as a racing incident, so no harm, no foul there, but unfortunate that one of the cars involved was a Hendry County Motorsports Park machine and David Weishart, and racing will return to the Hendry County Motorsports Park on September 20th. Tickets at just $20 for adults, and kids ages 5 and under are free. You can bring the family to the racetrack with a family pack of 4 starting at $25. Come see racing at the southernmost dirt track in America, located in Clewiston, Florida, off U.S. Highway 27. Visit HendryRacing.com for more info. And the flagman of that racetrack, currently going to sit shotgun on the front row. Travis Beckner got the lead early, but Nate Stewart was in front of him at the time of caution. So, nonetheless, back against the wall for Beckner. Again, has to win to advance to the next round. Otherwise, he is still going to race next week, but just not contend for a title. Whereas Nate Stewart, only a handful of points outside the top 4, but a win would definitely punch his ticket to Charlotte for a championship.
Yeah, exactly that. Just trying to get yourself sorted out here, and not too much you can take from Auto Club, obviously being a much flatter, wider track than Charlotte, but obviously a good run here. Gets that confidence ready. We won't have a week off. We will be heading straight into it, ending our season for area on July 31st. No inklings as to the next season, but when we find that out, we will, of course, let you know here. But a lot to be said. In the meanwhile, Greg Mitchell, the only one off the lead lap, still in the pits with a significant amount of repairs being done. We'll see if that 2-car gets back into the field. But we get Stewart and Nichols on the front row, and then we have to the outside, and then we have Beckner and Evans to the inside. That'll be second and fourth positions. But let's see what happens here. Pace car has pulled in, and we'll try our first restart, taking lap number 9, heading into that zone. We're going to go late in the box, get that green flag waving, and Nichols didn't get a good jump on that outside row.
No, he did not. Kind of hard to judge when it's the first restart, so we'll have to log that into the memory bank. But Nate Stewart, a great launch in the turns 1 and 2. He's going to have quite a bit of gap between himself and Beckner for the time being as they go down the back, and we mentioned it before, but we'll see it right here. There's just the bumps in general. It's going to be very treacherous for these guys trying to get rode down into turn 3 as Jake Nichols going to go full send to the inside before getting the door slammed shut.
And really did that full bananas move into the corner here, that Auto Club haymaker slide job, whatever you want to call it. That wouldn't really qualify in that category, but we'll see that later, especially once the groove moves up the racetrack. First side-by-side ends up being, I think James, nope, that is, who is that in that bright yellow car? That's Philip Groner to the outside of Mike Venable. That's the first side-by-side battle, but as soon as I say that, you can see the different lanes at play already. Some drivers running bottom, some drivers running in the middle groove, and some good side-by-side action going on. Here's Jeremy Miller under fire from Braxton DeWeese, who's doing a solid job here today, going for the 5th spot.
Had a solid effort in qualifying inside the top 10, and Jeremy Miller, he definitely was a part of the calamity that was Monday and Tuesday, but he showed some good pace, and he's making the most of his pace right now. He's inside the top 5. He's going to be behind Beckner going into turn 1. Before the lead, Jake Nichols below, though, 5 and 8 Stewart.
Up looking down and getting a little bit tight on that inside lane. Has to redact the move, pull back into the outside lane, and here comes Jonathan Evans. See that silver shark car, elite performance. He is trying to have an elite performance here today. Already out of the playoff, but going for the success. And he'll get on in there, and here comes Beckner, maybe losing 2 spots. Jeremy Miller tried to dive it on in there, but Beckner getting a resurgence on corner exit, trying to make something happen. Off turn 4, and Miller is going to put him 3 abreast.
Yeah, Evans going to be stuck in the middle, and Evans is another one that's shown speed this week, but just not been lucky enough to get good finishes for that 26 as, oh my gosh, behind them, I think it was Philip Groner all the way on the outside, really getting up close to the wall. Here he is right there. It's going to be tight on next with Venable. Wow, really close, but that's as high as I've seen anyone go so far.
3 and 4 tends to be more advantageous on a lower line, so we'll see. Yep, he is going to keep it within those bottom 2 lanes. Never quite understood why, but that's just kind of, you know, the sim, the geometry, whatever it may be. But 1 and 2, you really see drivers using every inch of this Auto Club Speedway service. That's Jeff Wright looking in the middle, but that middle lane will close. Let's see if Groner's going to run that fence one more time. He will.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened in front of them. Braxton DeWeese had a terrible turn 3. I'm not sure if he got too loose or might have clipped the wall, but he's lost a couple of spots since the last time we saw him. Not sure what the mishap was, but he's just trying to stay in the top 10 for now. It's Philip Groner also trying to stay in the top 10. Brad Slaughter the next in line, but now he's got Furnace to the inside and Van Rugman on his outside.
That's a name who, again, we don't talk about because he's only run a few races, and there kisses that turn 4 safer barrier. 27th up to 11th now. Let's pull up on our ticker here, our stints, and you'll be able to see 14 laps. First driver on, well, that's made a pit stop anyways. I don't even want to say fresh tires because I don't think that's a valid. Zach Nichols in the 14th spot. Zach Nichols, let's take a look.
That would be valid. Him and Matt Kemp, they've got 14-second pit stops. They're making quick work.
So that would give him 3 remaining sets of tires left, and his pit stop being 7 laps to go. I mean, you can do the math. He definitely has enough to make the race, but the strategy call later in the race, that would be his question. But as we saw, we had a bunch of cautions to start Tuesday's race, and right around lap 45-ish, they decided, hey, we're going to figure things out, and we're going to run ourselves pretty clean to the end. So that is, I think, what Zach's going for. As he went high, he went low, trying to dive underneath Groner, diving underneath Drugman there, and trying to drive underneath Jeff Wright, but not enough to do with that time by.
Yeah, and Zach Nichols, he's also 15 points outside the cut line, so he's got to try something different at some point, and this could, the early yellow could have been the strategy call that he was looking for, just to come in, pit, get fresh tires, and try to get some track position early in the going of this restart, and he's doing just that. He's driven up inside the top 10, and he's just went all the way to the bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, he's got the fresh tires. 7 laps here at Auto Club is a tangible amount of difference on tires to where you can drive through the field. Jeff Wright, that is the high line right there. We thought that Nichols and Groner were running high. Jeff Wright says, hold my beer, I'm going to run even higher. As some kerfuffling going on a little further back. I think that was Alan Fox. Had to make an evasive maneuver there, but he was just in 14th. Now he's in 6th, and you could see Zach Nichols has the leaders in tow here, quite literally getting a tow from, that's going to be Jonathan Evans in 4th, and he's going to be paddling for the lead by turn 4. Battling for the lead right now.
Yep, Nichols down low, Stewart up high. Again, these two swamping spots for the lead. Nichols will have it for the time being, but the momentum on the outside will keep Nate Stewart into it. And right behind them, sitting pretty in 3rd, is the 30 of Jeremy Miller.
Miller having a great run thus far. Trying to redeem himself after the run he had on Tuesday that was all over the place, trying to have a cleaner race here today. But Stewart, I thought he was going to make a crossover move. Not so much the case, but the 4th position has the 44 car, and he's trying to break that alliteration there, as that's a significant wall contact from Stewart. That's going to cost him a lot of momentum here, but may not cost him a position. Let's see if Miller does a dive here into turn 1. He does not, but winding up the top of the track is the 44. Now he's going to let him go and try to get them both.
And right behind him, you see the Taco Bell machine of Matt Kemp. They pitted under that last yellow. One of the only guys to change tires, and it's also making quick work. He's inside the top 10, trying to go around Skyley. But Zach Nichols, no relation to Jake Nichols. They're running 1-2, but he's looking for that lead. And again, 15 points out, but a win would definitely help the 44's chances of making the championship 4. I think it won't be too long before we see Zach Nichols go to the lead.
Yeah, just as you say that, just as you finish that thought, there he goes, and he definitely dove it on in there, and he has the grip to avail that move and make that happen. You can see that, as you talked about, Matt Kemp, that Taco Bell car, running the outside lane, the outside not being as widely run as we're wrecking down the back, all the way to the bottom of the track. That is Daniel Day.
Bryce Senesag.
We'll see what happened there. Luckily, Auto Club has hectares upon hectares of asphalt to play with here, but 61 PTR TV amp car. Who was that? That was Brad Slaughter. That I think caused a reaction to stem. Yeah, he was in the safer barrier, and that just stacked things up. And down the back straightaway, Senesak and Daniel Day. Light contact from both, should be able to carry on with a few seconds of damage to repair at most.
You mentioned it earlier that maybe tonight's the night turn 2 gets its glory in the replay department, and so far it has 50-50 with that and turn 4. But I was going to say, the guys, they're coming up on corner exit. It's almost like they're having to yaw their car out a little bit too much whenever they're on that outside lane, just to avoid hitting the wall, and that could create some contact for the rest of the field as they're turning off the wall into other cars that are not expecting them to go down low. But in that case, just the 8 getting in the wall, Daniel Day nowhere to go, and Bryce Senesak just frustrated with the season as a whole. And this is where I think we see everyone come down pit road. But then again, the 44 and the 51, they're already down 1 set of tires. Do you ponder pitting and being down 2?
I mean, the only way that strategy works is if this race goes very green to the end, because that leaves them 2 sets. They would need at least 1 for fuel in a full 4 tire set on a fuel stop, and then I guess that still leave them 1 strategy set. So I think they have no choice. Matt Kemp, you can see the back of the shot there on the right side of the screen. He had to back up. But let's take a look. I don't think he has a choice. Nichols, yep, there goes the Goodyear's on.
So both sets going to be, well, half of the sets for Zach Nichols and Kemp are going to be used. And for most of these guys, it's their first set of fresh tires. And like you mentioned, it needs to go green in order for Zach Nichols and Matt Kemp to pull out some solid finishes as we're 4 wide coming out of the pit road.
Yep, and Jake will keep the lead here. So after our first caution, and you already spoke of Hendry County for us, so that is checked off. But if you are looking to spice up your next meal, of course, you could check out Rick's Hot Sauce for some of the best sauces in South Florida. This Lokahatchee Classic, Golden Garlic, Palm Beach Pineapple, South Beach Heat. The Rookie of the Year battle is sponsored by Rick's Hot Sauce in the Area Cup Series. 1 race to go. I'm not sure who is leading that, but stay tuned to next Monday's broadcast. You'll hear who wins the championship, but probably who wins that Rick's Hot Sauce Rookie of the Year battle. rickshotsauce.com.
I can probably go ahead and tell you who's going to win that one, and that is John Hall, because he is a rookie and he's in the championship 4.
Oh, and that's just the thing of being a quote-unquote rookie is, remember, you think of a rookie as someone who's inexperienced, but a rookie is someone who's inexperienced to area. It is not a testament to their overall sim racing skills. So maybe a rookie in one capacity, but obviously he knows how to wheel a sim car.
100%, as was the case whenever Jake Nichols at one point was a rookie. Him, Jake Matheson, Logan Clampin, a number of guys, pro drivers are coming racing the area. They're not a rookie by any means on the sim, but in the league as a whole, it would be considered a rookie. And Jake Nichols has just done a marvelous job since he's joined area in season 2, and he's looking to become a champion once again. Not only in the Cup side of things, but also in trucks and possibly the Pro Series. So looking to go for a clean 3 for 3 next week, but you got to survive Auto Club tonight. It will restart on the front row, and he'll have company with Zach Nichols on his outside.
But that would surely be something to add to your resume there and be proud of for years to come. A series of a sanction that has this much talent to even have the opportunity to go 3 for 3. That's amazing, let alone even winning all 3. That would just be unfathomable to even think about. But we have a Nichols versus Nichols row number 1 here. Jake to the inside, Zach to the outside. Nate and Jonathan Evans will compile row number 2, but watch out behind that. Jeremy Miller, he has been very aggressive with the moves, as has Jeff Wright. Travis Beckner there, Skyler to the outside in that Geico zone on the loud pedal. Let's get racing here. Lap 22 coming to 23, and Nichols didn't do too bad of a job on that outside, being Zach.
Well, he's jumped down to the bottom immediately, and now and Nate Stewart's probably going to be in the... No, he's not going to be in the middle. He'll be low, but Zach Nichols, yeah, got away with that restart pretty okay. Jumped to the bottom, though, and looking to regain the speed that he once had on that last run as they go down the back. 2 and 3 wide. That's Jeff Wright all the way down low. Braxton DeWeese in the middle, and then to the outside, Van Drugman in the 45, still climbing towards the front.
Yeah, there we go, 3 abreast here as that 45 of Van Drugman all the way to the outside. Puts him 3 wide, and that's going to be Zach Nichols all the way to the bottom of what I think is a 3 abreast situation. It is indeed the case. Jeff Wright trying to figure out where to go. You got Braxton DeWeese, you got Travis Beckner here, but 3 wide at Auto Club, not too big of a deal. Plenty of real estate to use. As who is that ripping the fence? That's Sebastian Marin. Remember, he's already locked in. This race is all just about having some fun for him. He's already locked in with his Auto Club, with his Las Vegas win. 14th, trying to get to that top 10.
Yeah, him and Matthew Bappe were working the upper lanes, but Marin was about as close to the wall as you could be, as close to Larson lining it. There's the 71 to the outside of Matt Kemp again. These guys are going for a top 10 spot. They're getting real tight on exit, and here comes the run that the 24 gets through the corner and down the straightaway.
Thought he was going to give him a bump, but, you know, on that slightly bend of the D shape, decided to just evade that. But here we come through 1 and 2. As I said, this is where drivers tend to run that outside lane more aggressively, more closer to the wall. And many drivers navigating their way up there as Jake Nichols is our race leader at the present moment. Jeremy Miller, he is looking for an opportunity underneath Nate Stewart there. Entering turn number 3, and just look at that bright pink car all the way completely out of the lane there. But trying to make a different lane work.
There's a lot of side-by-side on the corner exit, and there's the snake method we'll see throughout the night as Nichols goes from top to bottom back to the outside to get the perfect arc going into turn 1. Jonathan Evans right behind him, and then not too far behind in third, that 45 of Van Drugman. He is making his way towards the front and trying to put those front 2 on notice. A lot of jockeying for position back outside the top 5.
He was a skosh faster than the leaders last time. He was in the O's. The leaders were almost in the 42.2, so just about 0.2 faster there as everybody is still fanning out behind. But here comes Evans with a tangible run off of the corner. Evans in the 26, Nichols in the 73, the gap around 1/10 of a second. Let's see if there's a lane shift. Let's see if they both go high, both go low. What will the split be? And it looks like Evans is going to follow Jake right in his track. Now, that's not good for dirty air, but if the grip is allowing of it. And he's a little lower on corner exit. See 1/10 of a second, and just watch that live gap to shrink ever so slowly to just under a 10th entering 3.
Just the amount of bumps that they have to go through down the straightaway, and trying to get a perfect run off turn 4, although this time it won't be enough. However, again, the drafting down the straightaways is what keeps these guys in the hunt, in the contention for the win, and that's what's allowing Evans to get a little bit closer on Jake Nichols before heading into turn 1. Meanwhile, 3 wide behind them, right around the 10th spot. It's Travis Beckner, Sebastian Mayer, and Matthew Batby all running outside the top 10. And Beckner, he's been climbing downwards ever since the initial start of this race.
Yeah, remember he started in the top 5, now down to the 14th spot. And, I mean, is it a matter of trying to save? Is there some long-term strategy of doing numbers and figuring out, fuel numbers, which I can't imagine at this juncture? I saw some smoke. I don't see any end result of it. I'm almost positive I saw smoke. Maybe I'm seeing things here, but either way, some solid racing going on. Still going 3 wide. Here comes Scioli throwing his hat in the ring to the bottom, 3 wide. Marin in the middle. Zach Nichols to the top. That 7 car trying to get spicy here and make something happen.
Ooh. There was a car that almost got on the wall there. I think that was Opplinger in the 55,
so, yes.
And he was caught up in the wreck on lap 4, lap 5, and he's quickly worked back to where he was in the 55 machine, right around the 13th position. He's up to 12th right now. He's going to give the 48 a bit of a bump down the straightaway. And again, the jockey for position, the left, the right's being made. And for third, it's Jeremy Miller on the outside of Van Drugman going into 1.
Van Drugman in that 45, he started all the way in the back. And, at this point, it's not a tire strat game. At this point, he is on equal footing to everybody around him. So this is just purely on pace. But the question that I would have is he using too much too early? But I guess let's pause that thought because we have a change for the lead. Evans got to run around the outside. And he is going to make that pass, and lead change coming to lap 31. Jonathan Evans.
Yeah, and he's shown speed all week, just hasn't been getting the finishes to show for it, but running up front right now. He's got pretty good speed, and again, third up for grabs, and there's Matt Kemp all the way up near the upper groove. He's currently in the 4th groove, I believe, but he is making quick work, trying to clear himself from Zach Nichols and Sebastian Marin, and just like that, Matt Kemp is 1 spot away from reaching the top 5.
Look at the run he got. He executed that top lane quite favorably, and drivers look in the mirrors. Some of them have spotters. They're telling them, all right, outer grooves are starting to work. You can see a slight darkening of the lane up here on Auto Club, the dynamic grooves and stuff playing from iRacing. So as that groove heats up, as that groove rubbers in, you start finding more advantage to changing your lane. But here we go back up front. Jake said, I lost the lead, but let me get back on the saddle. Let me take it back. He does just that. But Evans, will he get a run to make a comeback charge, a crossover move. He will not. But all the while, that has pulled Jeremy Miller into the front to make this a 3-car battle.
Yeah, having a pretty solid run tonight for the 30, and almost got hit by Van Drugman going into turn 3, but yeah, very solid top 5 showing so far for the number 30, but Van Drugman with a strong run to the outside. He's going to try and cut low, but he'll just follow the tire tracks as the first 7 cars do. Got to go back to Zach Nichols and Jeff Wright duking it out for position before heading into turn 1.
But they go into turn 1, and you can see that dark lane, and out of that lane, who is that blue car all the way to the back there? I think that's Senesac, that all the way to the rear of the field. Just trying some different lanes up, getting some clean air on the nose. But dare I say, Hunter, you know, we saw it on Tuesday night that there's a certain point in the run where you start to kind of figure out that, all right, looks like this might go a little green. I think we're starting to get some inklings of that, but Jeff Wright might be trying to change it.
Trying to do just that. He's going 3 wide, and whoa,
they heard
from
me.
Nate Stewart. Whoa, they're almost in the wall, just about. Nate Stewart, Zach Nichols going door to door, and well, they were door to door. They're bumper to bumper now. All happening behind Matt Kemp.
I think they heard me say, "All right, this race go green." No, let's get spicy. Let's make some aggressive moves and hopefully not change that. We want to see this race go as green as possible. I know that Formula One style race with all the strategies at play and the comers and goers and the chasers and the chasees and all that stuff was super fun to watch. I don't know if my brain and heart could take it one more time, but if that's what happens, that's what happens. But Travis Beckner, again, you talked about him dropping back 13th position, and he's losing spots, not showing the aggressor. He is, I think, getting passed to the outside by a few drivers. That's Garrett Grant in that 5. He had a few incidents on Tuesday night. Braxton DeWeese was top 5, and he is starting to fall back as I think that was Batby kissing the fence.
Yeah, not too many people know about the 5 of Garrett Grant. He's one of those who he'll preserve his tires early in the going, and towards the later parts of the run, I think this is the longest run we've had so far, just about, he's quickly working his way towards that top 10 spot. We saw this at Nashville, where he had one of his best runs of the season. I mean, just master at preserving the tire. Him and Jake Nichols, one of the top guys to do so, but he's closing in on that top 10 spot. Meanwhile, Matt Kemp, he's inside the top 5, looking to take 4th away from Van Drugman on the outside of the 45, heading down the back.
Yeah, I feel as though Van Drugman was going to get himself a little bit too much of a run early in the run, and I think he overused the tires. Jeremy Miller, as soon as we went on board with him, he kissed that turn 2 wall. As you said, maybe turn 2 is getting its revenge here and saying, nope, I'm going to be the toughest turn here on this Auto Club Speedway, but he seems to be carrying on just fine. Kemp up to 4th, and using that high lane. Obviously, his tires have not been used up yet, but here comes Sebastian Marin trying to get himself situated up front. Looking to the outside of Jeff Wright, winding up, running the fence. That is as high as we've seen anybody all race.
Now that is Larson lining it. That is what the 24 Marin is doing. So he's going to have a nice run down the back. And Jeff Wright almost was a victim of that block. Made a business decision there, as the 24 is going to steamroll past him into throw. Well, I shouldn't say steamroll. He's going to have a run to the inside, but he'll keep the freight train rolling up top.
Yep, all the way, even kissing that shadow line, and that's where the speed is. I mean, it's really hard to make it work, but there's a shadow all the way up against the wall where that, you know, just naturally where a shadow comes, and where there's shadowed pavement equals more grip because there's less track temp there, but that shadow is so narrow that it takes some brass cojones to get yourself to run that high, and Sebastian certainly trying that out. Zach Nichols, he's running a little bit higher than some, but not where Marin is, as Jake Nichols, our leader, slightly pulling out to 0.2. I mean, slightly, because it was 0.1, so now it's 0.2. But here comes Zach underneath Van Drugman. That's going to be 5th, and Zach trying to run that white line to close in on Kemp as well.
Again, Zach Nichols going low. He's trying to make up as much ground as he can, but with the playoff field being as close as it is, I mean, Travis Beckner is the furthest back of the playoff guys, and he's 14th. So, Jeff Wright, gosh.
Garrett Grant and Nate Stewart both fighting for the same piece of real estate, and Grant is dead sideways, Tokyo drifting the exit of turn number 2 there, and surprisingly didn't lose any time really from that. Still right to that rear of Nate Stewart, if not nearly in the rear. Now the 71 of Batby, he was trying to run the outside, and Grant kind of took that away from him at the same time as well.
And take advantage of the wheel spin that the 5 had to use a little extra on the exit of turn 2. So that will be for the 11th position, and Grant's going to try and stay firm heading into turn 1, but Nate Stewart holds on to that 10th position. James Schuyler just cruising along in 9th, but the 05 looking to get a run. Meanwhile, for the lead, once again, Jake Nichols and Jonathan Evans going toe-to-toe.
Yeah, I think that was a different line there. I think Jake ran the top, and maybe Evans decided to run the bottom, because you'll gain, time just by the distance, but it's when you get to the corner exit where you run that bottom, you'll lose all of the time that you gained. And I think that is what happened there, because that gap instantly just went back to where it was at around 2.5 tenths of a second. Let's go back and see Travis Beckner, I think, still losing some spots, down to 16th now. You see Opplinger, who had some issues earlier. Alan Fox working his way up. Philip Groner, who is really headed the wrong way as well on that 11, outside the top, nearly out of the top 20. And just to show some guys we haven't shown all race, Daniel Day, he spun out. Senesac, he spun out. We've got Anna Sogak, Casey Lakatos here running by his lonesome. Forrest Smith, Nico Servideo, David Weishart all the way back here, and Justin Bolton running by his lonesome. Last car on the lead lap in 29th.
Yeah, Bolton caught up in that first caution on lap 4 and hasn't quite recovered since then. Meanwhile, recovering into the top 3 is Sebastian Marin, below the 30 of Jeremy Miller, and behind them they're duking it out for 5th. But up front, they're still there's too many battles going on in the Auto Club.
Yeah, I kind of need a 5-camera setup here today, given everything that we're looking at here at Auto Club. As look at the bump trap from Miller to Marin down the back straightaway, and as you've alluded to many a time, those bumps, very easy to bump someone the wrong way and lose control of the car there. But Evans seems to have ebbs and flows of when he gains, when he loses, and it seems like he is in one of the ebbs right now, so to speak, where seems to be gaining. Maybe the tires had to cool down, maybe starting to figure something out, as that gap went from a little bit over 2 back down to the mid 10th second bracket. Just as I say that, it goes up.
Well, we're seeing the field start to spread out a little bit more, starting to see some separation from at least the front 2. Third on back, still somewhat tight. This is 3-car battle for the top 5 spot. Then even behind them, the 05 of Nate Stewart, the 48 of Jeff Wright, still inside the top 10. Happy holding on to that 10th spot. He's got a good run coming up on the 05.
Using that momentum, and as I was saying, there's a certain point in the race where you kind of transition from, all right, this is a pack race, this is a race where a caution can come out at any moment. As Van Drugman, he learned something from Marin, and he's going to go all the way up 6 lanes up to the wall, try to make something happen. But you turn the switch. Nope, he's in the fence. That's not going to help. But you turn the switch from, all right, this could be a wreck at any time, to, all right, we're strung out now. Everyone's kind of running cordially. I got to switch to a green flag strategy now, and I think that these drivers may have to be at that point already of, all right, we got to start coming up with a green flag strategy to run this thing out.
Indeed, as the run continues to go, and this is the longest run we've had so far, Braxton DeWeese and John Furness almost wrecked on the front stretch. That was a little bit too close for comfort there outside the top 10. Meanwhile, they are still, and Braxton DeWeese is running the Larson line through 1 and 2. Good look at that from his onboard shot.
Now 2 seconds of lap time already here in this stint, and this stint is about 24 laps in, so we'd estimate at most 20 more laps. That'll put us lap 65, and that lap 65, or even 60, somewhere in that ballpark, should be a one-stopper. If we full fuel this out, makes you wonder, maybe someone tries to do 2 and see if 4 fresh tires and 2 stops, maybe that could work.
Yeah, very well could. We're fastly approaching halfway, even with 2 yellows to this race. On board with Van Drugman, looking out the rear. So I'm on to that 5th spot, but he's got Matt Kemp behind him. He's got the 44 Zach Nichols approaching with a strong run. They're touching back there. I'm not sure if anyone clipped the wall or not, but Kemp's going to give the 45 a bit of a push going into 3.
Yeah, Matt Kemp having a strong run here and keeping that position. Zach Nichols, remember, he had basically taken the lead, and because he had pitted on the first caution, drove all the way up to lead on fresh tires. Caution came out, equalized everything, kind of threw the plan that he had. So now he is hoping, as we said, this race does go green. He is at a 1-tire set deficit to the rest of the field, as is Kemp and a few others. So he needs this to go green, which it seemingly is at present. But it takes away the advantage he had, and he needs whatever advantage he can, being, I believe it was 7th in the points, about 20 or so off the cut line.
Yeah, 15 behind the cut line heading into this race. So, I mean, he had to do something different, and I mean, it's worked out quite nicely. In track position, he's gained since then. He's stabilized right around that top 5 cushion. Him and Matt Kemp, they've basically stayed inside the top 10 ever since. Everyone's gotten equal footing from that second yellow, as some bobbing and weaving back there. That's Matthew Bappy trying to enter the top 10, but Scioli's holding him back. And, well, it was just these 2, but now a third name has entered the fray, and that's Sebastian Marin, as Jonathan Evans looks to the inside of the lead for Jake Nichols.
Now battle for the lead here, and we got to appreciate our YouTube chat, of course, Lucky Duck Motorsports, and we got our pal Bryson here saying, and he's putting his dollars where they speak, that Jeff Wright will transfer in. Jeff Wright, 9th spot right now, and he was right on the cut line coming into today's race, so he could spare a few position loss, but not too much. And thus far, I think it would be a transfer in for Jeff Wright, but we have just over 100 miles to sort things out here. There goes Zach Nichols all the way to the top of the racetrack, trying to get by the 45, who certainly has, I think, used his stuff up and is starting to go the wrong way here. But here we go with the battle for the lead again. Evans to the inside, but so hard to keep the momentum built up there. Falls back in before Marin can pounce.
Yeah, 0.3 of a second separating these guys. The 73, the 26, and the 24 rim right in that outside lane. And we saw a good look of it back there, just the different lanes being run, the middle, the bottom, the second bottom, the third high. There's so many lanes to choose from when you're driving in the corners, and then the straights are the same length, so you can go all the way to the bottom, all the way to the top, and run the middle if you want. But if you want a good approach at the corner, you're going to want to go all the way outside, as we've seen that time and time again with Jonathan Evans trying to stay in second. Sebastian Marin put up a good fight, but now we'll tuck in line down the back.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of, running the top and getting the momentum and maybe throw the Auto Club slider, or in the case of Jonathan Evans, all right, Jake might be running middle high, but he's not running high, which means I have space to go even higher than him. But you could see the momentum, the run from that lane did not overcome the distance he ran, which is the math equation that makes the top work, distance and speed. Well, speed has to overcome distance. And here you come. You're taking some distance away, running the bottom. You get the position, but now you lose the speed. And that's just the battle here that you run on these multi-groove tracks, trying to figure out where to go.
Yeah, and there's the rare occurrence where we see the snake method somewhat being used. Down the back and into 3. Nichols going to run high, Evans low, Marin even lower, just a tad bit. You can run on the apron. It's been done before, time and time again, in the real world and in the sim. Meanwhile, almost 3 wide in the back. Van Drugman trying to steer clear. A 5th from Zach Nichols, Nate Stewart, and James Scioli. Good group of playoff drivers. And then Matt Kemp and Bappy rounding out the top 10.
That's indeed the case here. Jeff Wright, I just talked about him. He is now outside of the top 10, so dropping a little bit further back, probably for comfort here. But here comes James Scioli sliding on the bottom of the racetrack, trying to keep that 7 pointed. You can see the inside starting to go away. Nate Stewart, he's going to put himself on the bottom of the track. Scioli in the middle. Nichols to the top of the racetrack. Let's see how this fans. I think we're almost 4 wide for a brief moment here. We are. I'm going to call it 4 wide, even though it technically wasn't. Van Drugman against the outside wall, and let's go 3 abreast here across the start-finish for 6th.
And meanwhile, we've crossed halfway through tonight's race at Auto Club, and we're over 30 laps in on our current stint. Lap times have fallen off 1.7 to anywhere north of 2 seconds, depending on where you look at in the field. And looking at Zach Nichols right now here tonight, 15 points outside the Championship 4 cutoff, and he'll take a swerve, and he spins. He had to look to the inside. He was not clear. We saw that happen Tuesday night as he hits the wall, and any chance he had of making the Championship 4 is done.
Well,
we'll take a look at a replay.
We got clipped on that the other day, Hunter. You know how that one went, but let's see how the replay went. Drudman into the wall. Oh, yeah, Nichols saw the run, and he went for it, and we saw that exact thing happen. I can't remember who it was, but cleared himself to no avail. And because of where he spun and how the algorithms work, Barney the flagman is not going to throw a caution. You can see there's some kind of suspension damage. He is wiggling and wobbling, but not in an advantageous way.
Yeah, that's unfortunately going to take him out of any contention whatsoever to advance to the Championship 4. We're past halfway. You're going to need a yellow now, and by the grace of God, some sort of magic luck that we've had all week long with damage repair on these race cars, as the battle for second will continue on. Sebastian Marin, he's already locked into the Championship 4 with his win from Las Vegas, running in the 3rd spot. Second is Jonathan Evans, that pretty solid speed, and then up front, that purple 73 of Jake Nichols steering clear. He's led the most laps so far.
He has. Jake Nichols, what is the number? Let's find out together. 35 of the 55 laps, and Marin will finally clear Evans. I think Evans may have got a bad run off of 2 and just kind of retorted and let him go. So move Marin to second, a half second off the lead. And in terms of the stint length, you talked about it, but we're 34 laps into the window. I think these guys want to get to 60 if they can. That'll be the number to hit. Evans trying to make a stab back at it, but Marin has the top wound on up. And other drivers worth mentioning, Travis Beckner. Remember, he needed the miracle card as well. He is in 19th. Nate Stewart back to 20th. He was just kind of the innocent bystander in that incident with Nichols.
Indeed, and Stewart, poor Nate Stewart, he entered just a handful of points outside the cutoff, so him being that far back, not going to work in his favor, as Matt Kemp and John Furnace haven't mentioned too much about the 28 car tonight. They'll duke it out for the 8th position, and then right behind them, the top 10 spot currently heating up. Garrett Grant's taking that away from Jeff Wright, and looking to keep it that way. Jeff Wright, another playoff contender that we're keeping an eye out for. He currently entered +6 above the cut line as the final entry for the Championship 4. James Scioli was second in points. He's running inside the top 5. Jake Nichols was 3rd in points, and he's currently leading. But Jeff Wright needing to just stay out of trouble and to have a good enough points gap to where he can advance to the Championship 4. Meanwhile, we're looking at Travis Beckner. He started out pretty good. He's trying to become the 3rd driver this week to win from 8th in the points.
Getting a report of damage, and you can see it to his right rear quarter panel. Wouldn't have thought that the right rear quarter panel, the spoiler and everything seems intact, but you can see that dent to the right rear. There must be some kind of spoiler damage that's inhibiting, hurting his downforce, hurting his speed. So unfortunately, that will hinder his results here. But heading back up front, Marin has taken roughly a 10th out of Nichols' lead, but it is stabilizing out at around 0.4 of a second. You can see the gaps that are starting to build here, so we are certainly trending green here at the Auto Club Speedway. If you're looking for something to listen to on your way to work tomorrow or while you're doing laundry or any errands, you can check out the High Banks podcast. 2 blue-collar guys, Nick and Alex, talking about NASCAR and more. They've done a myriad of episodes. Episode 228 features league owner Jacob Bell, but they've also done some more and a lot of recent information in NASCAR to discuss, and I'm sure they have some interesting opinions on it. The High Banks podcast on Spotify.
There is the 48 of Jeff Wright. He is currently going backwards. He got passed by Opplinger, and now he's getting passed by Philip Groner. He's fallen down to 13th, and I think Opplinger is the one that we haven't really talked about as far as playoff driver is concerned. He was caught up in that caution early in going on lap 4. He entered tonight only 8 points outside the cut line, and with Nate Stewart being as far back as he is, and Jeff Wright, the driver he's chasing, currently behind and fading, could be good for the 55. We're getting towards the last half of this race, being close to over. Garrett Grant, Matt Kemp continue to duke it out for position. Less than 40 to go when we cross the stripe next time by. As long as he doesn't mess up on pit road, which we're going to be coming up on pit stop shortly, could be all well for the 55.
Who's that to the inside of the raceway there? I saw
Brad Slaughter.
Brad Slaughter, yep, 1 lap down. So Slaughter has made his pit stop along with Bolton. Both of them were well behind the 8 ball here today. But we got the old cat and mouse game up front right now. Marin closing in, showing a little bit more speed than Jake. So which one wants to pit first? Whoever pits first is going to gain 2 seconds just via the fall-off game. So does Jake want to pit first and get that 2-second gap because Marin's faster, or does Marin want to try to get him that way and force Jake to have to pass him? I wonder which one it's going to be, or maybe they pit on the same lap.
Yeah, very well could be. Slaughter was the first one to come down pit road. Again, we are about 40 laps in on our stint, the longest run of the night so far, and probably will be. If we get a yellow now, they won't replicate another run as long as this. And up there, you're seeing the 8 of Slaughter go to work on those that are inside the top 5 with the fresh tires. So they do matter, especially on an old surface like this. He's driven past the 30 and the 7, and he's looking to do the same to the 26 of Jonathan Evans. And to him, it seems like these guys are just standing still. That's the difference between new and old tires. I mean, look at the gap he's created just from turns 1 and 2 alone.
Yeah, just watch this. This is the leader. This is the important pass for me. He's the free pass right now, but as we always talk about, it's better to be on the lead lap than to be the free pass. Marin to the bottom. Does this mean Marin is coming in? It does not. He was just trying something different, gained a little bit of time, but he'll lose it just off of the net loss of momentum. But Slaughter, he should be back on the lead lap by, I'd say, the center of 1 and 2 here. Nichols knows it. He's going to give him the bottom. And look at Brad Slaughter. Again, just it's as if everybody else is in second gear and you're in fourth. You're the only one in fourth.
Garrett Grant's also come down pit road, so again, these guys are starting to take notice of the lap times that the 5 is, or that the 8's running. The 5 took notice. I believe that's Ben Pierce that's taken notice as well.
Marin down to the bottom. Now, is this just running a line? I mean, it's kind of a bait and switch game, too. He's going to run the bottom, but that would make it harder for Nichols to know if he was actually going to come into the pits. We'll check our turn 4 exit cam here. Usually it shows us who hits the wall, but it'll also show us who's peeling in, and that is, I think it was Beckner. Indeed it is. Now, he can't afford to do any damage repair. That's David Weishart. Woohoo! With the slide job in there, but gets it woed up.
So one thing you don't want to do, especially during green flag conditions, either speed on pit road or lose control of your car and wreck, and sliding the pit box. We've already seen that throughout the course of this week and even in tonight's event. It's the 30 of Miller, the 26 of Evans. Evans is on the trail backwards. He's trying to hold on to that top 5, and the 30... Well, he's coming down pit road. Yep. And there's going to be a number of guys behind him that are coming as well.
Up there, you can see a few drivers heading on into pit road here. That's Matt Kemp, and I think that is Senesac. I can't see through the reflection, but I think that may be Van
Drugman.
Yeah, there it is. So pit stops becoming aplenty here. What lap are we on in our stint? I want to say we're past 40. We are on 44. So every lap that goes out, that means a shorter final stint. That means you can drive harder, no worry about fuel. Most everybody, well, everybody has tires. Some drivers will have 2 sets of tires additional, but even the drivers such as Kemp, even the drivers such as Zach Nichols will have 1 set availing. And look at Marin, look at Nichols. My goodness, they both went in full bananas, and you have to wonder if they both made the speed limit.
That's going to be interesting. That really is. Because if both of these guys get caught for speeding, that changes everything about this race.
Look how far back Marin came in there. If he made that, I don't see it. I don't see how Marin could have got that much out of it and made it. But he is also Sebastian Marin, and then he did it. Because if you speed on entry, you're stuck in for an additional 40 seconds. So obviously him exiting his stall means that he made it. That's incredible right there. And yep, there goes Jake. So talk about two experienced guys that know how to get every last thousandth of a second out. There you go. There's Daniel Day. Here's Jeff Wright. Opplinger. Venable, name we haven't talked about too much today. A couple guys behind that as well. There's Furness exiting the pit. Scioli and Evans in. And I think that should basically round us back.
Nate Stewart. Is he pit? No, he is not.
He is praying. Remember, he was in that caution. Well, that wasn't a caution, but could have been with Zach Nichols. So his only chance, and you can kind of see the splitter on that car is a little bit kerfuffled up from that contact. So he is just praying to those up above, give him a caution before that fuel tank runs out. But I don't think the odds are in his favor.
Yeah, just any little bit that can get him just an extra lap with the tires if this does go green to the end. Don't want to slide in. And he'll get through just fine. So Brad Slaughter will cycle through as your new leader. Garrett Grant will be second, and then he'll have a hard-charging Jake Nichols behind him in third.
Yeah, so Brad Slaughter has gotten the lead solely off of the fact that he pitted so much before everybody else. He used that massive tire advantage to drive himself from however far back he was into the race lead. And now he is enjoying a 4-second lead over Garrett Grant, a 4-3rd-second lead over Nichols. And look at the gap that Nichols acquired over Marin. You saw how close they were on pit road, but a massive advantage that Sebastian has had to deal with now compared to the 73.
Yeah, I'm looking through, and boy, this running order has changed a lot. I mean, Nate Stewart's down there, Zach Nichols down there. Travis Beckner's still 10th, but he's the third highest playoff driver. Scioli is running in, well, they're just swapping positions now, but 27's still up here. Jeff Wright's down in 21st. It's going to be very close to seeing if the 27, well, no, never mind. He needs a win to get in. But with Jeff Wright, it'll be close to see if he can make in on points as Nichols goes by Grayton for second.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. David Weishart, Dana Sogak, Alan Fox here on the racetrack. Race certainly has been entertaining, and if you need some life in your party this summer, you can check out Elite Entertainment from Boiling Spring, South Carolina. They provide high-quality band production to entertain at any location, karaoke, singo, and more. Visit the link tree in the description for more info. That is Elite Entertainment. Matt Kemp has been Elite Entertainment here today because he has been ripping that outside like a boss. 9th spot, going to have a huge amount of momentum, and is he going to give it as a bump draft? He is, as they both try to close in on John Furness there in that number 28 car in that 7th position. But look at up front, Brad Slaughter. That lead to Nichols was about 4 6/10 seconds. Already lost 2 seconds of that in about 4 laps.
Yeah, that's how much tire wear matters. Just 7 laps the difference between Slaughter and Jake Nichols, but it's showing on the timesheet and on the leaderboard as well. The gap's dwindling. Meanwhile, the 7 of Scioli, he's holding it stable in 9th as Kemp and Evans are going to do battle behind him for 10th, and that Kemp he'll just settle in line before going into 3. But Evans will look low.
Evans will look low, and he will look to the inside of Kemp. Matthew Batby is, if you want to say holding these guys up, can't quite tell, but Scioli really trying to hold on in that inside lane. Easiest to make that inside lane work early. Kemp with the push to Evans down the D-shaped oval here, and that caused Evans to get a little bit squirrely. Not something that you want to deal with here, but he had to nonetheless. Justin Opplinger underneath Anna Sogak, and that is for the 14th spot. Jeremy Miller has gotten into 13th. And just looking through here, And as things looking pretty slick here, speaking of looking pretty slick, you could check out shop.areairacing.com. Shop.areairacing.com. High quality merch at low prices. Over 100 selection of t-shirts, hats, champion clothing, and other area accessories. Easy to shop, quicker to ship, better to wear. Shop.areairacing.com. Get your merch before the 2025 season comes to an end. But this is the battle on the track worth watching. 7th through about 12th here in one shot.
Yeah, this is it's quite the gap of, well, I shouldn't say gap, but quite the group of cars that we have. 7, the 71, 26, 28, and 11. Well, 51, 7 through 11. But solid night so far for the 7 of Skylake. Still climbing up on the leaderboard, closer to the top 5. Meanwhile, the 48 of Jeff Reich over around David Weishart.
He's all the way
through.
Yeah, he's in 16th spot. Remember, he was outside the top 10, and up here we go up front. Missed it already. I was watching that other battle, but as expected, Nichols did get by Slaughter, and those fresher tires of about 9 laps, and overall just the faster pace that 73 has. He is back to where you'd expect him to be. Miller is in 3rd, closing in on Slaughter at a rapid pace of about 1 second a lap. Marin, again, we don't quite know why Marin lost so much time comparatively. But yeah, he is 2 seconds off of the 73's pace right now.
And he was ironically 2 seconds slower in the pit lane compared to the 73.
So it's a 15-second stop to 14.4. So that equates to, you know what it is, and I'm thinking of it right now. The pit lane speed is calculated not on raw speed, you're 56 and you're over. It's calculated on averages. So when you are hitting that cone way too fast, you have to slow down a ton to even that pit lane segment out. I have to wonder if Marin had to slow down so much to evade that penalty that it cost him on the racetrack.
Yeah, we'll see as they're swapping positions for second, and yeah, not too far behind, we'll see that 24 of Marin close into frame. And towards the end of the longer run, we saw how fast he was compared to the 73 of Jake Nichols. So if he can make easy work of the 8 and the 30, could be set up for a pretty decent finish.
Potentially, he still has to gain 2 seconds and pass that number 30, who is not an easy car to pass. Nate Stewart there, obviously he was in that issue and just not going to get the benefit of a caution flag to facilitate him getting back into the mix of it. But luckily, if you want to say that, he is the lucky dog if a caution is to come out. Here's Opplinger in that 55 and Beckner, 2 drivers whose championship odds are not favorable at the moment, but in the words of Kevin Garnett, anything is possible. We got clipped twice by our area drivers on Tuesday when we said absolutely no chance that Garrett Conrath transfers. It would take a crazy situation of scenarios to come into play for Garrett to win, and he won. I don't see those dice on the table here today, but after what happened Tuesday, I can't make any calls early.
Yeah, this is going to be really close. There's the 88 and the 11 duking it out for 14th on the track. Behind them, we see the 48 of Jeff Wright again closing in. This points battle is going to be really tight all the way down to the last lap.
Now, you would know this better than I, Hunter. Now, is this something that traditionally would get updated during the course of a broadcast, or would this be something that we have to follow socials for?
I don't think we'll have to wait too long for it to where we have to follow socials, but we should know roughly a few minutes after the checkered flag if I think the right people are here. Yes, so we'll know pretty much shortly after the checkered flag of who is in and who is not for the championship 4.
And obviously, sometimes there's a post-race scrutiny that has to get done, but this race has been relatively green, so I'm not seeing that. But what we are seeing is a battle for the second spot. Marin ripping the fence as he has practiced many a time. Jeremy Miller going off the bottom, and look at this momentum build up. Now here is the moment of truth. Can he clear? Will he dive it on into clear? Will the 30 pinch him down? Answer is no. He's going to dive to the bottom, and I don't see Miller being close enough for a comeback charge here. He will not. So that's Sebastian Marin up to P2, coming to 20 laps to go with a 2.2 second deficit to Jake Nichols. They both pitted on the same lap. So this is a pace. This is solely a race of pure pace.
Yeah, and Miller's kind of hoping this thing runs green to the finish, because this would be his best finish of the season. He's only got 2 top 10s. They came at, I believe, Talladega and Nashville. Nashville, I think, was a better one. He finished 7th, so doesn't even have top 5 on the season. So if he can stay in the podium, you can talk to him after the race and ask him how his race went. But for the time being, Bappy will try to get around John Furness for that 9th position, and in front of them, it's still a little single file. They're slowly trying to reel in the 5 of Garrett Grant.
Yes, they are, and we will say admin has confirmed that points will be up as soon as the points platform allows them to update them. So we'll get that hopefully tonight. But his estimate, admin's estimate, is that barring a crazy set of situations here, Jeff Wright should, given what we've seen tonight, be comfortably locked in. But again, can't write anything down to the fat lady sings, as they sure like to say. Jonathan Evans, 6th place, digging for more. Slaughter is going to kind of pinch him in there, of course, on those older tires, as Slaughter is to the inside there, and Van Drugman's going to try to take the opportunity. Evans didn't get off the corner well. Here comes a bump trap. I think they're just going to both work together to get by Slaughter.
Yeah, the tires are fading on the 8 of Slaughter. That's the problem with being one of the first ones to come down pit road. The longer the run goes, your tires are going to be worn more than those that pit later. 23 laps compared to 16, 15, 17, just from what we're seeing throughout the top 10. They do have their tendency to fall off quicker, so the 8's going to try and stop the bleeding, as Bappy is close and charged, as is John Furness and Garrett Grant.
Battle continuing on here today. We've already talked about a few of our partners. Just to bring up one more. Actually, did I cover them all? Lead Entertainment, High Banks Podcast, Let's Hot Sauce, Shop Area iRacing. You did that. So, yeah, we've actually covered it all. Now, the only thing we didn't cover is I didn't cover Twitch. So if you are watching on Twitch, I know the season is ending, so I'm actually not quite sure if I should be pitching this, but I will anyways, because it's on my ad read. $5 a month for the subscription there, and you can get access to your custom emotes, earn double points, get yourself merch for free in due course if you are subscribed on the Area iRacing Twitch. I know the season is ending, so I'm not sure what's going to happen there. Perhaps we'll find out in our chat here, but either way, thank you for watching on Twitch. Subscribe if you're watching on PTR TV. Corey and Hunter in the booth here for the penultimate race in the Florida State Builders Area Pro Series here. Closing in on our championship battle for Charlotte next week. We've had only 2 cautions for 6 laps. 7 liters, 10 lead changes, and Jeff Wright in the Pepsi Mobile has the fastest lap of the race at 41.601.
Yeah, and entering tonight, that's usually our average for yellows here. 2 yellows for 6 laps at Auto Club, and kind of long enough run to where we can go and have green flag pit stops, and then we'll have a long enough run on the second stint for these guys to finish. There's Casey Lucatis. Actually, that's not like Casey. That's Daniel Day in the 61.
Weishart back there not having the speed that he showed on Tuesday. I don't recall him having an issue here today. I just don't think he has the speed in that number 29 here today.
Yeah, looking through.
Back in 20th, maybe. No, I don't see any damage to it, but yeah, just not having the speed for that number 29, our Season 1 Cup champion David Weishart. But Jeff Wright back 15th spot. That battle has ceased, so it seems as though as we'll just kind of let you get the full shot, the full scope here. Pretty well spread out here over the course of 85 laps at Auto Club. Multiple pit stops, a green flag cycle, different tire strats, tire stint lengths. Pretty well spread out as somebody is going full bananas into the pits. When I say full bananas into the pits, that's Alan Fox.
Yeah, that's a strange one, but see if he continues or if he calls it a night. I'm not sure. That was a weird entry.
Yeah, he's taking tires, so not sure what the call is there, but of minimal significance. But Jake Nichols, again, leading this down. Somebody who this season has obviously been a player to watch out for. Does have one win on the season, which, if memory serves, that wasn't that far back ago. Comparative, he does. James Scioli, his teammate, does have one win. Sebastian with 6 wins on the season. Nate Stewart did have a win, but his odds of transferring are basically 0. But this is surely going to be a battle to watch next week. The Titans of the series, Nichols and Marin, going for that title. Very hard to pick one between the two.
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting. Depending on how the rest of the week goes for Jake Nichols, but yeah, he's got some pretty stiff competition with Sebastian Marin, and then don't count out the 7 of Scioli, because he can turn it up a notch whenever need be, especially if a championship is on the line. Having a solid showing in 4th, trying to reel in Jeremy Miller for 3rd.
A reminder that Scioli's one win on the season at Kansas. I mean, Kansas is not a Charlotte, but it is a moderately banked 1.5 mile track, so that is what we are running at Charlotte. Charlotte a little bit higher banks, but anything that can give you confidence of, I did this, so maybe I can do it again. That would certainly work in the benefit of Scioli. Charlotte track, 24 degrees of banking, multi-groove for the most part, but it is a narrow track. It does lead to, and I don't have the area stats, but I noticed from common knowledge, it does kind of lead to being a little bit more caution just because of the tight nature of it. So easy to get caught up in other people's mistakes there. So hopefully we'll have a good, clean championship race next week, but we can't call that because we still have 12 laps to go, and this is the best battle on the racetrack. It is for 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, all within about a half a second.
Yeah, it's still up for grabs and possibly a top 5 spot too. The 26 currently holds that. Jonathan Evans, solid day. Van Drugman, he's had a very good day. He's been inside the top 10 for a large portion of this event. John Furness, Matthew Batby there, having good efforts as well. Garrett Grant, a really solid job in 9th, and then Matt Kemp mentioned it. Him and Zach Nichols, they pitted early to get an advantage on the track, and yellow came out about 15 laps after their first pit stop. So when they merged with the rest of the field, that's pretty much where the 51 has been since then. Zach Nichols, he had good pace, but was caught up in some shenanigans of his own doing, where he had a massive run off turn 2, came across the nose of Nate Stewart, spun and wrecked, but it did not bring out a yellow. So an unfortunate way for your championship hopes to go up in smoke. And the 27 of Beckner, he's had some damage on the right rear. Not sure how that occurred, but he was a very long shot to win today. And the damage is still there, as you can see, going into turn 1. He was a long shot, entered dead last in points, too far back points-wise to mathematically work his way in, so the only way to do so was with the win. He's very tight right now with the 09 of Senesac and Daniel Day. And we almost saw a replay of what happened to Zach Nichols there, but yeah, it's been a rough go for the 27th. Just looking to finish this one out, and you know what? We might as well take a replay at it, Corey.
Yeah, we got some time to play with here. Let's take a look here at our Hendry County replay, and I mean, from that angle, it didn't look like he hit the wall, but the other angle did look like it. But yeah, he threaded the needle there, but he threaded the needle with success, which is not what we saw earlier. But obviously didn't bring out the caution flag. Now we are in single digits lap remaining here, and that was Matthew Batby having some temporary connectivity issues. The worst time to have that is obviously later in the race. But looking up the gaps up front, it was roughly 2 seconds when I remember watching it, and it still is 2 seconds. It dips down. Let's take a look at the lines, because it dips down to 1.8, goes back to 2.1. And it looks like Nichols running the top and Marin running the tippity top. That gap goes down 1.7. And then here it comes on corner exit once Nichols gets the wind up, but she must be getting a better wind up off the corner than Sebastian is. Goes right back to right about 2 seconds on average.
Yeah, just too much ground for Marin to make up in that short of a time frame. Unless something does happen where yellow comes out, this one's pretty much all said and done. As we're taking a look at a long shot here, there's the 73, the 24. Jeremy Miller still holding on to third with about 7 laps remaining.
Jeremy Miller breaking the playoff podium, so to speak, and that's Marin in the wall there, I believe. At least it looked it. If he didn't hit the wall, he missed it by a quarter of an inch at most. No, he hit it. Hendry County replay. Take a look at it here. That number 24 just going for everything he can. That's just a little kiss. I don't even think he lost any time, because if you look at the live gap on the ticker, it's right where it was. So if anything, maybe the car turned a little bit better from that contact.
Yeah, one of those rare occurrences where hitting the wall actually makes the car better. I've seen it happen a time or two before, where I think this was years ago in the Xfinity race back in 2013 in Atlanta. Kyle Busch was racing in it. He hit the wall with his car, and all of a sudden it became better, and he won the race.
And out Bristol here, at least on the simulator, that tends to be the case as well. And a lot of leagues have had to make rules at Bristol that you can't yeehaw the wall, get that car right where you yawed out and then use the wall as your brake to kind of keep the car pointed. So the wall can be advantageous, especially in these carbon fiber bodies where they don't bend as much. But so the gap is, I would say on average, it's going down ever so slightly, but not enough to cause a battle to happen within 5 laps. Fuel should not be a discussion for anybody. We won't be running more than about 37 laps for the majority of the field, so it's just going to be a matter of situating things out. We got Sebastian locked in with his win last week. We have seen to be Jake Nichols locked in with the win. We have James Scioli with a sizable buffer. He will be racing for the playoffs, presumably. And then again, we are looking at Jeff Wright, who got the run he's looking for to get confidence built for a championship, but at least tentatively, he does have that 4th spot.
It's going to be real close between him and Opplinger. Opplinger entered 8 points below the cut line. Jeff Wright had a 6-point advantage above the cut line, and so far Nate Stewart has not had the night. Neither has Zach Nichols or Travis Spector. So it's going to be down between Jeff Wright or Justin Opplinger for the moment as the 4th and final entry into the championship 4. Now, it's all depending on where these guys finish. It's going to be real close, but I think Jeff Wright may have it by just a couple points over the 55 as we're speaking.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 spots, and he would need at least probably 9, I think, for Opplinger to be able to get it. And 7.5 seconds off the lead for Opplinger, and the next spots would be 2-point-some-odd seconds ahead of him, but he also has Grant and Kemp within close proximity of that 55, so that would surely not help causes out, but just going a little bit further up just to find some live battles for position. Van Druppen will do one of the better runs he has participated in this season. He is in 6th, looking underneath Evans in the 26 car. But that will fizzle out as we are coming to 2 to go, 4 miles of racing here at Auto Club, and Sebastian's really started to close in.
Yeah, almost too little too late. About 1.5 seconds separating the 24 and the 73. Again, said it on the longer portion of these runs. The 24 was faster than Jake Nichols, but it's a little too far, or he's a little too far back to be doing that, as he's still trying to work his way to the 73, but he'll need a yellow to come out in order to have a shot to win.
And the odds of a yellow are diminishing because we are only a lap and a half away, and once we get to that white, we will finish the race under green flag conditions. So we're coming through 3 and 4 for the penultimate time, and 2 miles away to solidify our championship 4 lineup. Barney has the flag in hand, and he's waving it. 2 miles to go here at Auto Club.
Yeah, one final time for Jake Nichols leading the way at Auto Club. His only win of the season so far has come in a playoff race at Bristol. Kicked it off. It advanced him into the current round that we are in, and looks like he's half a lap away from winning again to advance into the Championship 4.
Dominating effort here at Auto Club, building the confidence he's had all season. He's had great runs all season. Maybe he hasn't had the win total, Sebastian Marin, but he's chipping into it here as the season comes to a close. Coming off turn number 4, lock the ticket in, punch it in. He's going to go for a championship next week. Gets a win here at Auto Club. Jake Nichols wins tonight's Auto Club 200, and we're just about 3 wide, bumping and banging here. Van Drugman and Evans, and holy Toledo.
Well, had some sparks after the finish, but other than that, all is calm. Marin, Miller, Skyley, Evans, the top 5. Looking to see Opplinger finish 9th, and Jeff Wright actually gained a spot, finished in front of Brad Slaughter. So, it's presumably Jeff Wright will be the 4th and final championship driver. Still waiting on the official point results, but it seems like that's the case.
Little complimentary tap there from Jeremy Miller to congratulate Jake on a dominating effort, of which he led 73, matched his car number, 73 out of 100 laps. A dominating effort here as he will do his celebratory moves here. Burning it down here on the Auto Club front straightaway, which is the only part of Auto Club Speedway that still exists here, circa 2025. But while he burns things down, let's go have our post-race show and get today's race wrapped on up. Jake Nichols gets the win with a final margin of 1.5 seconds over Sebastian Marin. Jeremy Miller in 3rd, James Scioli in 4th, Jonathan Evans in 5th, Van Drugman a solid run in 6th, Batby in 7th, John Furness in 8th, Justin Opplinger in 9th, he will not transfer, and Matt Kemp, he put on a show for us, he finishes in 10th.
Steals the top 10 from Garrett Grant, going to come home 11th, Philip Groner in 12th, Anna Sogak, Wright, and Slaughter in the top 15, and then the rest is Daniel Day, Braxton DeWeese, Bryce Senesac, Travis Beckner, and David Weishart.
And just rounding out our results here, Justin Bolton, he was involved in an early wreck, 21st. Ben Pierce, 22nd. Venable in 23rd. And then we have Casey Lakatos in 24th. Nico Servideo. Nate Stewart, innocent bystander of a wreck, didn't have the caution to recover, 26th. Fox, Nichols, Smith, and Mitchell running out our top 30. And then the Lone Ranger, Liam Sheen, didn't start today's race, so he will formally run in 31st. But let's head to Victory Circle for our post-race show, our Victory Fuel post-race show. Of course, you could try your you'd think I would know this by this time in the season. Our caffeine-free flavors, Throttle Punch, Purple Potion, Lucky Lemon, each can pack with electrolytes charged with vitamins and kid-friendly. 10% off your order with code AREA iRacing at checkout. That is Victory Fuel. And spraying the Victory Fuel with Hunter is Jake Nichols.
Well, I'm not sure what direction we're spraying the Victory Fuel in, but nonetheless, it's another solid night for you, Jake. And if I'm correct on this, you'll be going for not only the Cup title, the Truck title, but also the Pro Series title after your dominating performance tonight at Auto Club.
Yes, sir. That was fun. I love this track, and I felt like this is one of those weeks that I felt like I was the fastest car all week, and got second, and thankfully tonight it just went green for a while. We got the lead and just paced ourselves pretty much the whole night. I knew after the pit stops there under green that as long as I had a 2-second gap with 20 to go, that I could just run my pace and just bring it home. And thankfully we stayed green, and the biggest momentum you could have, second, and then winning at the end of the week going into the championship week is pretty good.
Yeah, so how do you stack that up? I mean, you've got 3 different cars and 3 different titles that you're going after, and it's all at the same track. They all race so differently. How do you handle that task going into next week?
Just take it one race at a time. I'm interested to see how it drives. This week was kind of interesting. This is like all 3 series drove similar to each other, like more than usual. So I think that's kind of why my speed was so consistent with being the fastest car, if not the second fastest sometimes, who knows, depending on the run, saving or just going hard. But overall this week it was pretty consistent in regards to what the car was going to do, middle of the run and long runs. So I don't know how it'll be next week. Charlotte's really hit or miss for me. I mean, obviously last season in Cup we went and won by an inch or less, but the other two were kind of back and forth. I got second in this car, but Trucks was kind of gripped up and just Daytona-esque, so we didn't quite get the finish we wanted. But I think we'll be able to take what we learned on Monday and apply it a little bit for Tuesday and Thursday. But overall, hopefully we can win at least one of them, you know.
Well, he'll have a good shot at doing that. 33% chance we could see the 73 of Jake Nichols win a title the next week. Congrats on the win, and good luck with the task at hand next week.
Thank you.
That is our Victory Fuel race winner here. In second place will be Sebastian Marin. Won't get the lucky number 7 win here today, but more importantly, it was just kind of a fun night for you. You were already locked in. You were closing in inch by inch on Jake there towards the end, man, but started 29th, finished second. Just ultimately, was it that starting position that kind of did you in for the win tonight?
I would say it was probably mostly that last pit stop. I threw away at least like a second and a half, and I lost to Jake by a second and a half. So I would say it was mainly down the pit stop. Obviously starting at the back, just having fun. Got to them, and then I threw away on pit road and just lost so much time. And it was weird how the fall off was. Like I felt like I was still driving pretty much the same, and then all of a sudden it was like a light switch. I started pulling Jeremy and started gaining on Jake. So yeah, just overall just mistakes. I think every pit stop I made tonight I slid my box, so I don't know, it was an off night in pit road for me. So hopefully we don't have that for the finale. But yeah, still an overall really fun race. I love this track. It's just wish the setup was a little bit better than what the iRacing provides us, because it was, I think a school bus would probably turn more than that thing. It was something.
Right, setup provided by iRacing. That is a shock nonetheless. But I'll say, well, first off, you had us both surprised how you even made pit speed limit at the end. So even if you lost time, the fact that you didn't speed was amazing there. But obviously we head to Charlotte for the finale. A little insight. Jake says it's a hit or miss track for him. It's not one that he would guarantee himself success at. Where do you put yourself up at Charlotte? You got Scioli, you got Jeff Wright, you got Jake Nichols. Where do you put yourself as Charlotte being the final track? What's your confidence going into it?
I would say pretty good. I would say it's kind of similar to here. It's just a bit tighter radius. It's just going to be really tight, making sure to hit your line right. And I feel like it's everybody will be kind of grouped up for a bit until somebody hits the cliff on tires. Because I think for the most part, everybody here was getting down to the tire warning almost every run, or at least I was. So yeah, I feel pretty good. Obviously, want to be, don't want to be cocky or nothing like that. I expect them to run well. So we'll see. I'd say I feel pretty good, but I don't want to be overconfident. So yeah, hopefully we don't have any issues next week. Everything goes well, and whoever comes out up front, is the winner. So definitely looking forward to it.
All right, man. Well, I know you got a lot of practice to do and unwind after this one, but we'll see what you can do next week when all the money's on the line. So congrats on a solid run tonight.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Have a good night, guys.
Yep. And then last but not least, wrap things up. Jeremy Miller, not a playoff driver, but a great run nonetheless. Hunter will have a word with him.
Yeah, best finish of the season for the number 30 and the first top 5 since Daytona back in season 6. Jeremy, talk us through your night, man. You had a solid performance at the RIP Auto Club Speedway.
Yeah, I don't like that stat, so we're going to move past that. But just one of my better tracks. Had a great week all week. 9th in Cup, 4th on Tuesday in the trucks, and then 3rd tonight. I think we clearly weren't fast enough to win because long run that just got yarded by Jake because, I mean, former Coke driver, future Coke driver 1-2, so P3's pretty good behind them. But I think we got some cautions late. We could have had a chance at it. Did a good job managing my right front all night. I seem to be better at doing that at these flatter tracks, which is why I'm able to hold on, run better places like here, Michigan, Indy, and then the flatter short tracks as well.
Yeah, you're certainly ending the season on a high note. You've had a top 10 at Nashville a few weeks prior, heading into this one. How do you cap off the season as a whole across area in Charlotte next week?
I mean, a win would be nice, but I think on Monday we're just looking to get as many team points as we can organizationally for 609, and then Tuesday and Thursday we're just hoping our teammates can go win a title, whether it be Jake and Bo, or Seth wins one, James wins one on Thursday. That's all we're really focused on there. Team battle on Tuesdays is really close as well, so we got that a lot going on next week at Charlotte. Another track that I'd say out in the 1.5 mile cookie cutters, it's one of my better ones. I can do a pretty good job painting the blue line there, so hopefully we'll be able to get the car dialed in to where I can paint that, and we'll move forward to there.
Solid 3rd place finish for Jeremy Miller. Congrats, Jeremy, and good luck on the rest of the season.
Yeah, thank you, Hunter.
All right, so that'll wrap up our post-race show here today. And as I brought up on the graphic a little bit earlier while Hunter was speaking to our race winner, this is our confirmed championship 4. It is going to be Jake Nichols, Sebastian Barron, James Scioli, Jeff Wright. Points do not matter. It is the highest position of the finisher at Charlotte that we will have next week. Again, thanks everyone for tuning in here to PTR TV and on Twitch. Like, share, comment, subscribe. We'll be back on Sunday night with our next broadcast, Triple Bypass, and then we'll have a busy championship week with Area next week. That'll be Corey and Hunter signing out of the booth. Have a great night, and we will catch you next time.